All right, welcome in to episode 11 now of the Glue Guys. I'm Landen Lucas, that's Richard Lucas, and we have hopefully a short one. I know we say that all the time, but it is just you and I today. I am unfortunately terrible at procrastinating and waited until the last minute to reach out to this guest like I do all the other ones, and it was Brady Morningstar, and he has practice today. Go figure. So that's on me, but it's okay. We'll carry this one, and I'll be better moving forward.
Well, I can tell you too. You had asked me to help you with booking some guests, and I procrastinate as well because I had Dre, I had Snoop, I had Mary J, Eminem. I even had 50 as well, and
oh man!
But I just waited till the last minute.
Yeah,
and so so unfortunately, because they're kind of busy right now,
a little bit.
But next time, I'll make sure to try and get them on next time.
How about what did you think of the halftime show? Speaking of all those people, did you like it?
Yes, I'm in my 50s. I love it.
That was right up your alley.
That was right up my alley. I mean, I remember listening to them shooting baskets and getting myself pumped for games on a lot of that music. So yeah, no, it was unbelievable for me. And so the way I loved it is the fact that all of them did just a couple of songs each, and that's kind of fun, just to see and hear that I didn't need a full concert of anyone in particular. So I thought it was great. I loved it.
I thought they did well too. Unfortunately, my boy Joey did not get it done. We were watching it together. I was telling you that I wanted him to have a chance to, have that game-winning drive, and he had it, but unfortunately, there's a man named Aaron Donald that disrupted almost every play, including that last one. And it was pretty interesting to hear the coach afterwards talk, and the mic'd up, and he knew before that last play, he was like, he's going to make a play here. And so, that was impressive. And I have a question for you, actually, because I was thinking about this before we got on. If there was a rebound that was coming off the rim, somebody shot a shot and there was a rebound, do you think that you and I would get that rebound over Aaron Donald?
That's a really good question. And the only reason why I would say yes is the fact that I don't know. I mean, I know he's a beast, but what's his vertical like? Can he get up?
Well, I'll tell you this, Myles Garrett, who's a pretty good comparison of him, has like a 40-some inch vertical, and I saw him doing between the legs dunks and stuff, which I can't do. So I'm guessing that it's probably pretty good.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think he has a pretty good vertical.
Okay, so if that's the case, because I was thinking my first initial thought was, well, I'm going to get up and be explosive and get to it before him.
Well, now at this age, you're going to be explosive?
Oh, no, I meant like
yeah, back in the day. We'll take Oregon.
Yeah,
Oregon
me now? Of course, he would destroy me. I'm talking
we'll go back
when
you were playing.
Okay, so because I especially off of two, I could get up. So, the problem with it is that with a lot of rebounding is position, anticipation, and I wouldn't be able to get in any position with him because I wouldn't be able to move him at all. God, that's tough. That's a tough one. I think that because that is my thing, and if he's just a football player, I think that in a normal game situation, I still would get the rebound because I do think that I would be where the ball is going to be.
That's what I thought. That was my final conclusion.
Yeah. Not going to be. So I think that if it's just the game, a true game, situation, then I think I'd get it.
Yeah, I mean, and I was thinking the same. For a while, I was like, nah, there's no way. And then I was thinking, well, if he knew where the ball was going for sure, then it would be tough because, obviously he's he throws 350-pound men out of the way like it's nothing.
Yes.
However, he hasn't been watching balls come off the rim for his whole life. And I do think that there is some advantage to that has to do with rebounding. You can't just take the biggest, strongest, most athletic guy and expect him to get a rebound. So I like my chances as well, but I was just thinking that I wanted to see what your opinion was. But
Yes.
let's get to Kansas basketball. What we're here to talk about. There were two games against Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. One that was another one of those close games towards the end. They got the job done at home, and then they come back and handle Oklahoma State pretty easy. But I want to ask you about what I think is the most important question after those, two games and stuff. It's something that I think could really impact recruiting a little bit, and it didn't impact the You know where I'm going with it?
Yes.
I tried to keep a straight face. I was trying to surprise you with this one.
Come on.
But those jerseys, oh my God, I have never seen a worse jersey combo than that. And I think I understand that, it was to honor the I think it was 1922 championship team. But can we at least get like just matching? Like you can make the design the same or something, but
Yes.
I mean, I don't. What did you ultimately think about those? Did it grow on you as the game went along, or what were your thoughts?
Well, my first instinct was, and again, you'll get this because you are a Marvel fan. My first thought was, what are those?
That was way before Marvel, by the way.
Oh, it wasn't?
Marvel took that from a social media thing. It's all right. You're not on social media, so it's fine.
Okay, well, fine. Well, Black Panther is where I get it from.
Yeah.
But at first I was like, my gosh, what, they were pretty garbage uniforms, but having said that, understanding what they were meant to represent, it wasn't like they're like, hey, this is just our new look going forward.
Yeah.
This was we're representative of something. So in that regard, I don't have any issues with it. It's a one-off and it's not a big deal. And the jerseys don't. I don't think it's going to impact. You said recruiting.
I was exaggerating.
Oh, okay.
Of course not. I just wanted to try to lead into it. I wanted to surprise you with it. And,
okay.
And,
it was just such a shock when we turned it on. We're like, what?
It almost looked like those, back in like the AAU team days where like you would have a team that like brought the wrong jerseys or something and they needed to do the mismatch to just be different. That's what it reminded me of. And unfortunately, when you're, in college and one of the top teams and playing on ESPN, it's a little bit more scrutinized. But yeah, no, I don't know. That one shocked me because I've been around the decision making for the jerseys before, and Coach Self has the final say in that.
Of course.
And he said no to some things before, and they must have got him with it's the 19, you got to represent for the team and stuff, because there's no way that he looked at those jerseys and was like, oh yeah, we're running out of those ones.
I'll tell you though, man. Well, I will tell you, we had when I was at Oregon, we had these yellow jerseys, and again, you have to remember what time, this is late 80s, and we weren't on ESPN all the time and all that. So whenever we were on ESPN, we always wanted to represent with our yellow jersey. It was like that was it. We felt like we were just unstoppable when we had our yellow jerseys on. And so, the question would be, does the jersey matter? And some people may say it doesn't matter. I will tell you, when we had the yellow jerseys on, we felt like we could take on anybody.
Well, I'll tell you, there was red at Kansas as an option, and we all liked it, and Coach Self hated it because I think before I got there was some big game that they lost in it. That they lost, and so we would only wear them for not Washburn or, just whatever, just to throw it into the rotation. But we would not bring those out. And there was something with our warm-ups too. I think it was something like we would on the road only wear the blue warm-ups because he was superstitious about it. So I'm not, I really could care less. It's basketball at the end of the day, but Coach Self and you are on the same page because apparently, some people do feel like they play better in a certain color.
We did. It was a big deal. When we knew we were wearing the yellows, it just, for whatever reason, We just played better, and we rarely lost in those yellow ones, and we didn't break them out very often. But and the cool thing of it too is that we could wear them on the road or at home. So it was either one. So again, it was a real big deal for us at the time. But nowadays, you kids, you young whippersnappers, have different jerseys, and especially at Oregon, they never wear the same one twice. So when we got to wear the yellows, we were feeling pretty good.
Yeah. Well, on to some more serious topics. Today, it was serious. I tried to make it more serious, but it didn't work. So the sub in or sub out today is something that has been going around, KU Twitter a bunch, all the fans, trying to figure out what's going on with Remy Martin. I'm sure the coaches are tired of talking about it. Yeah. But, that's what we're here to talk about, is what everybody's, interested in. So our sub in or sub out today is Remy Martin will not play another game this season. Are you subbing in or subbing out on that?
So Remy will not play another game the rest of the season, and I'm going to sub out. I do think that he plays again. And the reason being is that, we have seen Remy take time off and then play. Mm-hmm. When he plays very well, typically when he's in, and then the team responds when he's in. So it's not like when he does come in, it's a distraction, or it's tough, or it takes him a while to kind of get going or anything like that. He's a positive when he is in. And I know they've been going with this basically no point guard, kind of rotation. And it works because they're Kansas and they're really good, have really good players that can do multiple things. But I do like the fact that when he's in, he offers him that true point guard mentality of trying to get people open. It allows some of those guards to kind of slide more into their more natural position. So I don't think that he is exiled in any way, shape, or form. He's not a distraction to the team. The team keeps winning, and I think having him only helps.
Yeah, and I'm going to sub out as well. However, the more I was thinking about it, there is something that's a little weird about this whole situation, because I was there at Kansas and I experienced my own injuries. I saw other people's injuries and stuff. As you know, that training staff is second to none.
They're the best.
They will make sure that you get back out there. I had plenty of injuries that I had post Kansas that kept me out for way longer than I ever was at Kansas. I mean, Kansas made sure that you were good.
Yes.
Because of that, and the fact that he is coming back and then playing and then not, and then sitting out. And then when I listened to Coach, kind of talk about it, because some came up of, obviously reporters asking him, and, he leaves it more on, it's on Remy, it's his own timeline whenever he feels good and stuff. That's weird to me a little bit, because from all of my experiences, there was always some kind of one timeline with most people. If there wasn't, it was more on the doctor to, Cheddar, is what we would call him, to Cowgill, to give some kind of, hey, he's going to be ready at this point. We're holding him off until X, Y, or Z. Yeah. But just to kind of have it up in the air like that, there is something that's weird. I'm not ready to sub in and say he's not going to play for the rest of the season, and I do think he will. But I almost feel like there's more to this than we are getting. And I'm with you, but I'm just, something's not clicking all the way.
Well, do you think that it could possibly be something that is not directly injury? When I mean injury, I mean physical body related, and maybe it has something to do that's more on the mental side of it. If you think about this, that's been really brought to light, the mental health of
No, it's a
athletes.
serious matter.
It's a serious thing, and it's something that has been really kind of swept under the rug for years.
Yeah,
You
not
know,
really
you
talked
almost
about or
it's
anything.
not really talked about, and it just especially as men too, you're supposed to be just shake it off and
Yeah.
go do it. And if you talk to a fan, especially if you're somebody who's a professional athlete, and you talk to a fan, the fan just cannot comprehend why, if you make millions of dollars, why can't you just go out and do what you're supposed to? But I think with the gymnast, Gabby, right?
Simone Biles.
Simone Biles.
Yeah.
Simone Biles, and then obviously the tennis player who had Naomi, who took the time off. Not to say that this is what's going on with Remy.
It may not, and it could be because I do believe that there was an injury involved in this, and
Yes.
it could be some kind of mixture because it is tough to mentally sometimes overcome an injury. I've had injuries before where it's sometimes there's a mental hurdle there in itself, and then if
Yes.
you are adding maybe some other stuff as well. I do think that's a good point. I'm not, again, ready to dub this that, being the issue, but because there's something that just isn't adding up yet, that may be play a role in it, and it would explain why Coach Self is kind of like, well, it's on him,
Yeah.
and there is no timeline. He's not giving a hey, everybody's like, oh, is he going to be ready for this? Is he going to be ready for that? He's putting it more on when he's ready, so that there's no pressure, in 2 weeks when he's telling the media, oh, he'll be back in 2 weeks for him to come back, leaving it more on him, because that would make a little bit more sense than just like, an injury with that training staff and whatnot. And the fact that he's come and played pretty well. I thought he had one of his best games. I forgot who was against, but where he was passing it well, scoring pretty well.
Yeah.
And then to come back, take a step back. That was a good observation, because that's a take that I haven't seen before. And I think that it definitely could play, a role in this for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we just don't know the full story. And we may never know the full story, or we may at the end of the season hear kind of what happened and get some of those answers.
And as a team, you should. I mean, no matter what's going on, the way they're handling it it should be unknown to everybody, whatever it is. If it's truly an injury that has no timetable, if it is a mixture of some, things he has to overcome mentally, whatever it is best to just keep it the way it is, which is like unknown. And yeah, there's going to be questions about it nonstop. And as a fan, you just want to know. But that's the best way to just leave it, is just, hey, there's no timetable, like move on to the next thing. So that brings me to my next question, though. This isn't a sub in or sub out, just to save you the but I want to know, with Remy's health and stuff, what you think gives Kansas the better chance of making a deep run come March in the tournament? Is it this David that we've seen now twice against Oklahoma State? This Oklahoma State David, which seems to be, a great performance every time he plays them. But would you rather take that, 14 and 12, 15 and 13 David, or a healthy Remy, completely healthy, can play as many minutes as needed, and David just kind of being that unknown, like maybe we get something, maybe we don't. What do you think is more impactful, come tournament time, come end of the year for this team?
I think, and maybe this is the big bias in me, but I mean, having a David that's given you a double-double and the presence inside is just too important, especially as you go into the conference tournament and then into the NCAA tournament. When Remy's on, we just talked about it. He's very good and he helps this team, but you also have really good players that can slide over and can take some of those point guard duties, and they can have Ochai or Brown or somebody kind of direct things. So they've got good enough perimeter players that you can absorb the loss of a Remy better than you can with David. David is more irreplaceable in the role that we're talking about, the 14-12 role, that double-double role, than it is with not having Remy in there. So I would have to definitely say, a Dave, because the thing too is that, remember, if Dave's scoring 14 and grabbing 12 rebounds, there's extra possessions because there's going to be offensive rebounds. Mm-hmm. He's also, and you've seen this when they throw the ball into him, and he makes a quick move and gets a bucket. That's the way Self wants to play. That's just what he wants. And I get why he wants that, because it just changes everything when for those perimeter players, when you've got a presence inside that is going to give you a bucket when you throw it in, if you don't do something defensively. So definitely having the big guy.
Well, there was an analogy on TV that I actually kind of liked, which football analogy, but they said having that big man inside to be able to score is like having a run game.
Yes.
And you need that. You need that balance. You need that, because if you don't have that, it's a completely different offense that you're doing. It's not as easy, consistent yards that you can pick up, consistent, easy buckets that you can pick up. So when we're looking at this and you're telling me he's going to get 15 and 13 or 14 and 11 every night come tournament time,
yeah,
I would agree. Yes. The only time that I wouldn't is if there was just a little bit of uncertainty what Dave was going to show up. Because if you add in that factor, I would rather have a point guard come tournament time that's consistent, and because tournaments, that games just go off script sometimes. You have to adjust. There's different styles of teams that you're playing that are, you're on TV before. They're going to throw things at you that are different. Having a point guard that is going to be consistently out there on the court running the plays and whatnot, that is important. But when it comes to, Dave 15 and 12, 15 and 13 type Dave, it's hard to pass up on that. So I think it just comes down to the consistency. But if he is capable of doing that consistently, I would rather that, than Remy. But it's tough. I mean, that's a tough one and a very close one for me. And it really just comes down to that. I like the analogy of the run game thing, because that totally is a good way of putting it.
It opens up everything in terms of play action, right? If you're, exactly. You know what I mean? And if you become too one-dimensional in anything virtually, I mean, think of it in terms of almost any sports, even poker. If you play like me and you're one-dimensional, it's easier to defend.
It's true. You have to have different,
You have to have different speeds and change-ups and things like that in order to keep the other team off balance. And so, I mean, I want both of them. I want a healthy Remy.
Obviously, in a perfect world, yes.
And then Dave give you 15 and 12. Then that's the recipe for a Final 14 for sure.
Yeah. I want to kind of finish with this question as far as Kansas and this season. What do you think to end the season is going to be the big rotation? I know that we just saw for the first time Clements, I think is how you say his name, big freshman, come first off the bench, Zach, and that was kind of a surprise. But the way he played in the game before, he gave some good minutes, and you know how coaches, if you're playing well in practice as well and stuff, he'll go with that. But at some point in time, come the end of the season, I have not seen, at least in the teams I played on, and then the few I followed afterwards, postseason where there isn't some kind of solidified, okay, this is who's coming off the bench, this is around the minutes that you should be getting and whatnot. So You know, we've seen Mitch, we've seen KJ. You know, now we're seeing this freshman come in and give some good minutes. And Zach, how do you think he's gonna eventually finish the season with this rotation down low?
Yeah. So when it comes to go time, which is getting pretty close, and go time is you lose and you basically are done, for the season. It has to. It all starts with Dave, right? So I think we're in. I mean, all the guests we've had on, both of our observations, the best big.
He needs to be playing the majority of the minutes.
Majority of the time to give Kansas the best chance to win is Dave as a starter and playing majority of the time.
Yeah.
So now then you start thinking about when he gets tired or if there's foul trouble, when coach looks down and who is he going to point to come in next? And this is why I think it will be Mitch. And the reason why I think it's going to be Mitch is simply because of his experience. And the fact that he's been a part of this team for so long. He's been in big games. And he knows, coach knows what he's going to get, right? He knows what to expect. And so that's why I think that he will be the first person kind of off the bench. He's going to give you those few minutes. Whether he goes to KJ or not, I think will simply be on whether, on how Mitch does on those minutes. Because maybe it's a situation where, Dave starts and plays, 11 and a half minutes and, or picks up a foul and then Mitch comes in and he picks up a foul or does some bonehead thing and then maybe he goes to KJ. Or it could be, hey, Mitch gives him, 5-6 minutes, pretty solid, and then they go back to day before half or something like that. So, and I think the freshmen, although maybe some spot minutes here and there, I don't think you're going to see real significant minutes.
How does Zach?
Is Zach the freshman?
Zach, yeah.
Yeah,
well,
Zach,
KJ is, but Zach, yeah.
Out of Zach, I don't think you're going to see much out of Zach. When it really comes time, they're in against they're playing a Michigan State and in the second round or Sweet 16 or something like that. He's just not going to have that deep of a rotation. So I'm saying Dave first, Mitch second, maybe a little bit of KJ, but very little, if anything, from Zach.
See, and here's how I'm going to look at it. I'm going to go off of how the rest of the season finishes. And if Dave, if he's going out there and, starts becoming inconsistent again, there's some games where he goes back to playing less than 10 minutes, picking up a few fouls and stuff. I think that you start to see a little bit more Zach, and I think that confidence will start building, just in-game playing time, just like you saw. He was hurt for a little while, so he wasn't getting that experience. Now he's being able to practice, getting into games. I think that he starts to get some good experience, and then if that's the case, come tournament time, I could see him and KJ kind of leading the way. Now, if David is – so here's the second scenario. David plays the way he is, and there's very limited minutes, and then come tournament time, those two haven't gained that experience. Then I'm going with Mitch. Mitch getting a big chunk of the minutes and stuff. If something were to happen in David, whether it's foul trouble or something in the tournament, you're going to Mitch to hope that for 15, 20 minutes, he's able to make up for, in that big spot. But here's the guy who I actually think will be, come tournament time, the one that he turns to towards the end. And this is assuming that it's just kind of spot minutes, but you need him, and it's KJ. I like the way that he's played in big moments. I think it was against Oklahoma. Again, he came out and played fantastic defense. He gives you an element that I don't think I would trust him for 20 minutes out on the court right now because he hasn't got the experience. I would almost rather go with Zach, or for sure Mitch, but Zach once he gets some more experience. But if you're talking just some spot minutes come tournament time, and big moments towards the end, of the game. I like him a lot. He's shown that he's capable. He doesn't shy away from the occasion at all, and he is great at doing those small things that team is going to need at the end of the game. And that's playing really good defense, rebound, all those things that that I tried to do at a high level for the teams that I was on. I think that he can come in and provide those in key moments. And so I would see, Zach, he's looked great. If he can get some more time, some more experience, I see him becoming that guy, that if he needs to play 15, 20 minutes can. If he doesn't get that, it's Mitch. But I do see KJ, if there's a big, situation come tournament time, key moments, I see Coach Self turning to him. He has already a couple times, and he, Coach Self, once he kind of gets comfortable with in the game situations, guys out there in certain spots, he'll keep going back to them. And KJ's proving that he's capable of taking that role and doing it well in big moments.
So, Mike, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I agree with you about Coach in the sense that and what I always respected about him, he could care less about anything, right?
Yeah.
Who gives him the best chance to win? Bottom line, right? My question to you is, in the years that you've been around him, how many freshman bigs come tournament time play significant minutes and are a major part of the offense and are part of the team?
Well, I would say that injuries have stopped a few, of the main ones. Obviously, Joel would have played as many minutes as he possibly could have, and he was a freshman. You look at like Sheck Diallo, my junior year.
But did he play?
No, he didn't play, but he got spot minutes, end of half type stuff, But as far as, significant minutes and important times, not that I can remember, and I only go so far back, so I can't go back to like early.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there was somebody in, whatever, early
2006 or something,
right,
but from what I've seen, no.
And you go back 10 years, basically, roughly.
Yeah.
Think about that. That's been.
Yeah, no, and that's it's a good point. But I as you started this off by saying, he will play whoever he won't be thinking, oh, this guy's a freshman or anything. And if that guy's shown him in games during the season, I don't think that there'll be a moment where he'll feel uncomfortable with going to a guy like KJ too, who he stays within himself. I don't think that he would be worried. Now, if you're talking about like some guy who's going to be relied upon, scoring, playing big minutes, that's why I said if they don't get the experience, he's going with Mitch. There's a difference between playing 20 minutes if needed, if Dave's in foul trouble, and coming in and playing some key minutes down the stretch just for, 5-6 minutes where it's just really possession by possession. Just do your job. We don't need you to score really or do much. You don't need to hit a turnaround jump shot or anything. Injuries or stuff stopping it. I still think that this is something that I don't think there's anything to do with somebody being a freshman that will stop him come tournament time.
Yeah. So I guess the reason why I brought that up is the fact he has to feel comfortable with that person. And if we're talking especially about just the NCAA tournament, as well as anyone, that is a completely different animal.
Yeah.
Your routines are different. The media about March Madness is through the roof. It's a whole
possessions are different. I mean, like there's a difference in just like every possession, the importance of it stuff. I mean,
question. So that's what I'm saying is the fact that I just have a hard time believing that you're playing Michigan State. You guys are down, by 4 points, and Dave needs to come get a rest. And he's going to go, freshman, come on in and do that. I think it's Mitch all day. I could be wrong, obviously. I've been wrong a lot.
Yeah, no, and
But
I,
I think it's
yeah.
Mitch all day long as that
It's
backup.
nice because you do have a guy who's been there forever, who can give you those minutes, and he does great at giving you those minutes.
Exactly right.
And I agree 100%. That's something that is going to factor into this whole situation. And the trust in him that he's built over time and whatnot. I just go back to, hey, who gives you the best chance of winning in those situations, and what he's gone to late in those games. There's some plays that KJ's making that Mitch is great. I don't think Mitch is making those same plays to come to the end of the game. And so, we'll see how he goes, moving forward. I think that Zach is a dark horse that if he starts getting some more minutes, you see how fast freshmen can grow with some experience. You saw that with Joel, and I know that Joel's like a freak of nature example, and it's hard to compare anybody to that. But what I would take away from it is that as he got more minutes in the regular season in the Big 12, it just helped leaps and bounds, him grow. And I think that you can even see with Zach, he's already getting better and coming off that injury in just those little amount of minutes that he's gotten, clearly building trust with coach. So if David leaves the door open and gives him some minutes during the regular season, we might come tournament time and think, oh, David, go in, do your thing. If you pick up some fouls, it's fine because, we got Zach coming off, and then you give the spot minutes to Mitch and KJ. But we're not the coach. We leave that to Coach Self. So he's the Hall of Famer to make those decisions. But it will be interesting to see how it plays out. I think that they have some pretty good options, especially if Dave's playing well. Then it's easy to piece together between those three. That's a really good three to have to put some spot minutes behind Dave. So they'll get it figured out, and come tournament time, we'll see who is right about things.
Yeah, and it's coming fast too, which is kind of fun. So we'll know here soon.
Yep. Well, let's go ahead and leave it at that. We actually did make it somewhat short, and I'm happy about that. We stuck to it. I am excited to now watch my Liverpool team play. I got the jersey on, so we got a big Champions League game coming up, and I'm excited for that. And then we got West Virginia on the road for Kansas, which is if they pull out a win there, then because you know how that goes. I mean, that's probably the worst travel trip I could ever think of. And for some weird reason, as soon as you step into the gym, like the Space Jam monsters, they just take your skills, your talent away. For some reason, we just never really played well down there. We did get a couple wins, but it was always it was just a struggle. You didn't feel right. Just everything about the lead up to it, the way, the way our airport where we fly in, where we stay is longer than normal. There's always snow problems getting to the game. It was just like the perfect storm of bad things. So if they can go into to West Virginia and get a dub, great. And then they come back with Kansas State at home. So there'll be some fun games, and hopefully they'll be able to extend this lead that they have in the Big 12.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, it's just getting into the dog days of the season too. So they're playing well, though. I mean, they're pulling off some great wins against tough opponents, and every once in a while they'll drop one, but that's to be expected as you're getting to the Big 12 tournament and then the NCAA tournament. So I'm looking forward to the next month and a half or so.
I think this game in West Virginia, if they win it, I would go pretty far to say that they'll win this league. If they drop it, who knows what happens and whatnot. But if they can go down and get that win in that tough environment, where historically we just don't do very well, and keep that lead in the Big 12, I think they'll finish strong the rest of the way. And at Baylor is going to be tough, but they said we handled them easily at the field house. So I feel pretty confident about things if they can get the dub this weekend. So we'll see. And next week I will do better at reaching out to our guests. If you can get Snoop and them on, like you said, go ahead and make it happen. And
I'll start working on it because we are about the same age, so they may listen to me over you potentially.
Yeah.
But I'll work on that. No promises, but I'll at least work on it.
Yes, awesome. Well, before we go, make sure that you do check out betrivers.com.
Yes,
that is important, and I have not yet remembered.
I know you because you can't memorize it. I know that.
If you haven't yet, go ahead and sign up. They're offering a $250 match bonus for your first deposit. All that it takes is one playthrough to turn your money into cash. And so now with their instant rush pay, instant approval, withdrawing your money is even easier. Make sure you go ahead and head to betrivers.com or download the app. And you must be 21 years or older. And if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER, I believe it is. Yes, it is. See,
is it gambler or gamblers?
Gambler.
Gambler. Okay. All right.
Gambler.
It's not an 888 number. It's 1-800-GAMBLERS. Gambler.
So,
okay. All right.
If you know of anybody, then I will be gambling this coming week, I believe, and for some poker tournaments. I'm going out to LA, so hopefully I won't have to call that number after. But
let's hope not. And then we've got next week. We'll be able to bring it back and actually have some real guests on.
I know, not just listen to us talk the whole time.
Let's see how good this episode does.
Yeah, no views. But if you are listening, thank you guys. We appreciate it. Please, leave a like, leave a comment. Let us know what your thoughts are, and we'll be back again next week with a new episode.
Yeah, and I also want to say, we're okay. Trust me, Landon has seen over the years comments that are always.
No. If you want to leave some negative ones, go ahead. We can take
just to help us get better at this. We're just a father-son team that's just trying to put this on, and it's not a big corporation. Nobody does hair and makeup before we get on to this. So
you don't get it. I get it every time.
Well, I have to do my hair, but all I gotta do is that and just slick my head, and then I'm good. But anyway, so if you have some comments, something about the show, positive or negative, something that maybe we can change, to make it better, then just let us know.
Yep. Thank you guys.
All right, take care.